We're going to talk to you today about how to insure your watches and all your other jewelry. I'm Justin.
And I am Aaron.
And this is the Phoenix Insurance. Be sure to subscribe for more great content like this.
And stick around because we are going to show you one of the most unique and probably rare bands on a Rolex that you've ever seen.
I think it's called a bracelet, but I'll let it slide.
Okay.
So let's talk jewelry and watches and insurance.
Specifically Rolexes, because we happen to have a lot of them right here.
Yes.
No.
Thanks to our good friends, we don't own all these.
Yeah, not unfortunately we do not. But this is the thing, when it comes to Rolexes, it's not really cut and dry. It seems like it could be that way. It seems like with the Rolexes, they've been around so long and you should be able to just go to a price guide and say, boom, this is what this watch is worth. But it's not always that easy.
No, because you've got vintage watches that appreciate over time versus modern watches that are kind of what they're worth, right?
And then what do you insure it for?
Well, that's a great question.
Yeah, and it's really, it's tough when you've got these, because part of it comes down to what you really have, what it's actually worth, whether you're insuring it to proper value or not, and then also what you really want to insure it for.
Right, right.
You know, these watches are a great example. I mean, here we have a gang of subs, right?
Gang of Submariners is correct.
That's right. But all of these have pretty dramatic swings in value.
Right. This is a relatively modern sub, about $10,000 for this one. This is a tropical sub, which means almost worn out, but in a beautiful way. And that one's probably another $1,000 on top of that.
Yeah, what you're talking about there, this one has some patina on the face here. And I think it's going to be tough for the camera to pick it up. But there's this patina because you had some oxidation, some air leakage in here. But it's even, and it actually looks really good. It's a beautiful watch. It's going to be nearly impossible to replicate this. It has intrinsic value of its own, more so than another exact same watch of this kind.
Right. And here we have two more watches that are of the same model line, but you pay different depending on how many lines of red text on here. And here is a standard bone stock sub, but it has box and papers, which can increase the value by a couple $1,000s. So how do you cover for these things? It's something that you have to keep up with as a jewelry owner.
And it's something that you need to discuss with your insurance advisor. And if you're just calling 1-800-INSURANCE, you are certainly not getting an insurance advisor. You're getting an insurance person or representative.
Right.
You can call them up, tell them what you got, what you want to cover it for. They'll tell you what documentation that you need to send into them. Some companies are going to require an appraisal at anything over $5,000 in value. Other companies may go as high as $25,000 before they require an appraisal.
Right.
But what's an appraisal going to get you?
An appraisal is going to get you a number that you have to then adjust as you need to, right?
Now, do appraisers want to give you just the number? Are they concerned with customer service at all when it comes to appraisers?
I don't want to speak for all appraisers, so I can't answer that question.
But some appraisers want to know what you want to value it.
It's true.
And they're going to work their way backward.
Right.
Whereas somebody like our friend who's a fine watchmaker can really dig into this watch, look at it, and let you know whether it has a face that warrants more value or whether it has some aftermarket or knockoff face that's going to really bring the value down.
Right.
Is it a Franken watch, or is it a real genuine Rolex through and through with all the parts?
Right. Now, if you buy a watch new, you probably won't need an appraisal because you've got a receipt for what it costs. If you are buying a watch like this, you probably are going to need an appraisal. This is a $10,000, $4,000 watch, right? And so you have to make sure that you're getting the value that you need. And you want to talk to your professional about that. There are plenty of ways to buy insurance that don't involve an agent. There are companies that provide direct-to-consumer insurance for jewelry, and that's great if you know what you're doing. But I would always argue that it's better to work with a professional, just like you would when you're working with a watch like this, to make sure that you've got the proper coverage. It's going to help you sleep at night.
Well, hey, Fast Fix could probably clean up any of these watches if you brought it into them at the mall, couldn't they?
I don't think that's what you want to do.
I don't think it is. Because the other thing is that some of these watches, especially when we're dealing with Rolex, the watch value does not do what it does with most personal property that you buy. Go down.
Right.
With Rolex, it's the other direction.
That's true of a lot of watches.
That is true. But then it's true of a lot of watches, but certain watches lose money. This Omega is not worth what it was worth when I bought it new.
Right. Right.
That watch that you have is worth more than what it was when you bought it new.
Absolutely.
This watch right here is the same type of watch as the Paul Newman Daytona that sold
for $17 million.
This one is not worth $17 million, but its value has increased since Paul Newman's watch sold.
Almost overnight.
So it's important to review what you've got your jewelry insured for every year and have an annual review with your advisor, because maybe the value of your jewelry has gone up and maybe you want to increase your coverage for it, so you make sure that if this watch does disappear, if it's lost or stolen, will you get $5,000 back, or will you get $90,000 back like it's actually worth today? A big difference. Maybe you want to protect up to $90,000. Maybe you don't want to pay the premium to insure $90,000 worth of watch that
you don't have to
might
insure,
lose.
right? I mean, you don't have to insure any of your jewelry. It comes down to how well you want to manage your risk. If you have a watch,
How your risk or your wrist? Okay.
And you're punny today. So, but a watch like this, right? If you're not wearing this watch every day and it's mostly in your safe, you wear it on once in a blue moon, how much do you really need to pay that coverage for it?
You've minimized your risk, so then it comes down to personal preference. If something did happen, it only goes out every once in a blue moon. But if that once in a blue moon, it got stolen from you, it was lost. Maybe you had a car accident and it was lost in the mix. Well,
I think you should check with your EMT if that's
possibly, but what are you going to expect at the time of loss?
Right.
That's what insurance is all about. You've heard a lot of self-help gurus say, begin with the end in mind. And that's exactly what you should be doing with your insurance. What does the end look like when there is a claim? What am I going to be satisfied with getting back from it? If you need the up-to-the-minute value, you better make sure you review it, because nobody else is doing it for you.
It's on you to do that. Now, here's the thing that you absolutely need to remember is that if you have jewelry like this, or any jewelry really, and it has value to you, you have to talk to your insurance person, because homeowners policies do not automatically cover a watch like this. They wouldn't automatically cover any of these watches, very frankly.
Yeah, even the best homeowners policies out there are going to have a total cap on the jewelry. I mean, I don't know what the exact limit is on every single policy, because it's different on every single policy, but even a great policy, a Chubb policy, is going to have a limitation for unscheduled jewelry. That means jewelry that you have not specifically told them, I have this amount of jewelry, and I guarantee you that limit is going to be far below what these watches are worth.
100%.
Yeah.
So, should we show them the rarest band now?
Yeah, we got to. So tell us, what do we have here, Justin?
So here we have a Rolex President Day Date. It has 3 lines of diamonds, an aftermarket diamond bezel, but it has the Rolex Super President bracelet. And if you look along here on the lugs, there's factory set diamonds there as well. This is a very rare watch because there's only so many people who could buy this watch in the first place.
Absolutely. And if you have that watch, I would highly recommend making sure you insure it to the full value that you expect to get from it at the time of loss, because if you wear that out, somebody's going to see that. It's going to attract a lot of attention.
You bet.
Maybe the wrong attention, who knows?
That's what it's built for. So if you have any questions about how to insure your jewelry or how to protect yourself properly, please leave a comment down below, call the office, let us help you out.
Yeah, and also leave a comment below and let us know which watch you love the most out of all these. Come back and see us next time.
Wait, so before we wrap it up here, we better do a wrist check. What watch are you wearing?
Well, I wouldn't want to come to a watchmaker just wearing my old Timex. And so I did decide to go ahead and put on my Omega today. I've got my Speedmaster Day Date. So I've got the day and date. I don't think they actually make this version of the watch anymore. No. And I know exactly why, because it's incredibly complicated if it gets behind. If the watch ever stops, you've got a lot of winding to do to make sure you get the date, or the day of the week and the month and the date of the month all together here. But it's cool. I like it. I got my stopwatch. My cool little chronograph.
I am wearing the Mad 1 Red by Mad Galleries. This is an MB&F watch, and there are no hands on it. Time is actually red on the side. The movement is upside down. A very interesting watch, and one that you can't buy unless you enter a lottery to win it.
Of these watches, I want everyone to do us a favor and let us know in the comments below, what is your favorite watch that we've got laid out here? And you can even comment on either Justin's or mine.
Thanks for watching.
Go back and see us next time.